Ahead of the Game podcast can explore potentially sensitive and triggering topics throughout each episode, including but not limited to mental health, physical health, trauma, addiction, and even death. If at any time you become triggered or impacted, please connect with your local resources or report to your local emergency room. Ahead of the Game is not intended to be a substitute for professional mental advice, diagnosis, or treatment. All opinions expressed by Ahead of the Game guests are solely their own and do not reflect the opinions of the Ahead of the Game host, SageE Elite Healing, or its team of professionals. Always seek the advice of your licensed medical professional regarding questions or concerns with your mental and physical health. Please know there is help and you're not alone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ahead of the Game with SageE Elite Healing. I'm Mark Van Steenberg, and today I have the extreme pleasure of having the SageE Elite Athletic Department with me, and Mr. Brandon Bostick, Mr. Zach Moore. Thank you so much for coming on and speaking with us.
Yeah, appreciate y'all for having me. Just wanted to get a quick introduction of myself. My name is Zach Moore. I'm a 5-year NFL veteran, now turned certified ISSA personal trainer and nutritionist. So happy to be on the show.
Mr. Bostick.
My name is Brandon Bostick. I'm a 5-year NFL vet too, co-owner of SageE Elite, and that's me. Let's do it, Mark.
There we go. So I wanted to take this time, one, to have all the listeners and viewers get to know, the faces and kind of our vibe on how we actually do things here at SageE Elite, and how the flow of our podcasts are going to be going are really going to be similar to our clinical programming, right? So at SageE Elite, we really follow mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. We really follow that modality and really believe that you got to dip into those areas every single day of your life. And that's how our podcast is going to go. So I want to take some time, every guest that comes on, I really want to give you some time to kind of dip into those realms and kind of tell all the viewers and listeners, kind of how you operate your machine. Right. So I think I'm going to jump right into the, well, you know what, actually, I'm going to pause here for a second. And, I just, again, I want to thank both of you for taking time out of your day. And so I just wanted to pause there and say thank you. I'm grateful for both of you.
Thank you.
And this is going to be a fun journey. So starting with the mental realm, focusing on what the mental realm really, includes, is really, our thought process, the speed of the thought process, kind of the origination of these thoughts. Are they, trauma based? Are they fear based? Where are they coming from? Right. So, I want to throw it up to you guys, as two men that have climbed the mountain of life very high, where many people want to reach. Tell me about what the mental realm means to you. And I'll toss it up to whoever wants to go first.
I'll start off. I think for me, the mental realm for me just means, how am I feeling? Like you said, how are you thinking? What kind of thoughts am I thinking? How fast are the thoughts coming in? So for me, that's a very big part of my life, the mental part, because I know if my mental is not good, then my part of my body or my life won't be as good. So I try to take care of my mental. That's part of my main concern every day I wake up. So that's very important to me, just to take care of those things and knowing those things and why those thoughts are coming in, and just being aware. I think that's the biggest thing for me, just being aware of those thoughts and not sticking to any thoughts that come in.
Yeah, that's a great point. Just to piggyback off that, I do agree. The mental realm for me means being self-aware, understanding why I react to certain things, understanding how I, interpret and how I perceive things and why I perceive things that way. It's kind of like a reactional thing. It's built up of all the things I've experienced growing up, from Chicago to playing football to playing the NFL to where I'm at now. So that's something that I constantly work on every day. I can honestly say I don't quite have a full handle on it, and that's okay because it's a journey. I don't expect to fix everything overnight, but as long as I'm improving and I'm understanding myself in that realm every day that I can, then that's progression to me.
Well, you just said something very magical there. I mean, healing is that journey. And I don't know how you fellas feel, but no one's fully healed, right? That past tense of the word
I
heal.
thought, Mark, it's funny to hear you say that. I thought that was a thing,
No, I believe in the word
It's like you break a
healing.
bone,
Right.
that shit gonna heal, right?
Right.
Yeah, but it won't be 100%.
Right. There's
Will
definitely
not.
going to be some weaknesses in it. And I mean, I think that's a good point too. I mean, if I walked around my entire life with my arm in a sling or wearing crutches, somebody would be like, yo, Mark, what is up with your arm or your leg? Did you get that looked at yet? They'd be like, man, what's up?
Yeah.
But mental health, we don't really look at it like that. And it's really the same thing. But I think it's, going back into your guys' playing days. How was the mental realm when you were an active player? At SageE Elite, we work with active and former, so we can kind of hear both sides. But I want to hear from the athletic department. Back in the day when you were playing, how was the mental realm?
I can say for myself, man, it was intense. Speaking for myself, I was a small school player, Division II, drafted from a school no one ever heard of, and I felt like I had to walk on pins and needles just because of that. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really have those connections. I didn't really have those relationships, and I later found out that that's some of what carries you, throughout the NFL. And if you don't have those things, then you're really fighting an uphill battle, no matter how hard you can practice and show your best self. And I said this on a previous podcast, and it's something that Bill Belichick told me that stuck with me forever. He told us it was before practice and training camp. He said sometimes you can do everything in your power to do everything right, perfectly to a T, and it still may not be enough. So that was a big thing for me. Just having that mindset of just being cautious of where I am.
Mark, I would say my mental. Uh, when I was coming out, going to the NFL, I think I had a pretty good mental. Like I was strong. Like I had the mindset. I was driven. I was motivated. I had all those things because I built that up from college. I built my mindset up so I can get to the NFL. But I kind of lost that when I went through that traumatic experience in 2015. So I kind of lost all that hard work I built up, all that belief in myself, all those things that I kind of got me there. Like I said, I lost all that when that event happened. So I had to get it back in order to keep playing. So I got it back for a few years and kept playing. So now I'm just trying to get back to that point where I can continuously try to live a better life and quality life, so I can still have that same strong mindset, but still have a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to jump on top of that, especially, we both been through experiences of getting cut from teams and, just kind of restarting that whole process over, and that's kind of, that could be damaging to your, what word I want to say, that could be damaging to your self-esteem as well. Because like I said, you can, put all your hard work into OTAs, training camp, putting everything on film, feeling like you've done your best to show your best, and then just to get cut kind of diminishes that self-esteem. Like, damn, maybe I didn't do enough, or maybe I'm not good enough. Those thoughts, especially for me, that's what I
For
thought.
sure.
Every time I was cut, that all those thoughts, crept up in my mind. I think it kind of hindered me from growing as a person, as a player.
It's I don't know the word. It's funny to hear you say that. Those are the thoughts that still stick with me. Those thoughts that I had when I was playing,
Mm-hmm.
those thoughts come up now. I, those things forever will stick with you if you're not working on them and you're not working through them. So for me, that's big for me. Those thoughts come in 100 miles per hour. I notice them now. Back then, I didn't notice them, but now I'm more aware and I notice those thoughts, so I can handle them different. They don't
Mm-hmm.
tear me down as much.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the mental realm and going through, both Division II, okay, and cutting your teeth and getting all the way up there, I think, um, did you have, those moments where we kind of have to suck it up almost? More than most. I mean, you're walking on pins and needles, Zach. You said so yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make a name for yourself, right? You got to make a play. But those thoughts that you're talking about in the mental realm, how did you handle them back in the day? Even though you probably didn't recognize Brandon, you said you
I was
didn't
gonna say,
recognize them, right?
hey, I
So,
didn't recognize it. You just push through and you just focus on what you got to do,
Yeah.
and like you said, focus on the play and focus on what you have to do for the team. So the mental part kind of goes to the side when you're so focused on the
mm-hmm.
performance and the job aspect of it. You kind of got to put your how you feeling and everything else to the side. I know that's what I did in order to get through it. I kind of had to don't worry about what Brandon's feeling or how Brandon's thinking. Let's focus on football and let's keep this going. But
Right.
now I can
Right.
focus on Brandon and what Brandon needs and what Brandon's thinking and what Brandon wants.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot of the part that I went through. Repeatedly getting cut. It's kind of like yeah, it sucks. You want to be a part of this team, and hopefully you want to stay, but it always doesn't happen like that, and you might get shipped off to a next team. So it's kind of like, all right, what's next mentality.
Right.
It didn't work out with this team. All right, so what's next? Can I get to this place? What is this city like? What is this team like? So it's all about adaptation. Like, you got to be able to adapt. That's a big thing in the NFL. If you're not able to adapt, you won't last long. And that's a big part of mental too. Having being able to adapt to things.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think adaptability is one of the biggest, skill sets that we need,
Hmm.
as we're on this healing path. Talking about that mental realm with you guys getting up that mountain, that's a mountain of constant assessment.
Yeah,
Getting cut from teams, somebody constantly assessing you. Hey, you're not doing that right. Hey, you're not doing that. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. How does that kick in the door of the mental realm for you now, after after playing football for so long and having that constant assessment? Do you find yourself constantly assessing yourself?
Absolutely, I know I am. Just because there's a never-ending need for updated knowledge, updated information.
Right.
You always got to work on yourself daily, so you can never be too content with who you are now. You always got to continue to progress as a person. Um, and as far as playing in the NFL, those things, in conjunction with, dealing with the business side of it. I've been in situations where, even though you can outperform a player, at any position, they'll probably get a job over you because they have a certain relationship with a coach, or, something crazy like that. And it's something that you almost can't get around. That's
I
also
mean,
something
I've
that,
heard nothing but like horrible stories of nepotism in the NFL, of like people
yeah,
knowing somebody and getting into that spot. And you wouldn't, I
yeah,
mean, as a fan, you wouldn't really think of that, right? Because, as a fan, we see you guys out there battling each other. It's a hard game. It's like, it's a brotherhood, but it's like, I'll shank you if I need to, too, because I need this spot.
yeah. It's a
Right.
dog eat dog world.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, and so I mean, as a fan, we don't really think of it like, I mean, at least I know I did, and I don't mean to speak for all fans, but um,
it's different. It's cutthroat.
yeah, I mean, and I guess, experiencing that cutthroat, working with players, active and former, I think when you have a large overbearing cloud of distrust, or a lack of trust in people, because let's spend some time on how much people around you try to exploit you, and how that's impacted your mental process. And I can see it clinically, where you've had those issues in the NFL, people trying to exploit you, where you actually get out of the NFL, you have a large sense of distrust, and it actually holds you back from pushing through treatment and finding the right therapist and actually building that trusting relationship that you need.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. The exploitation. I mean, you kind of. I don't want to say you kind of can see it coming, but you can kind of expect it, just because not too many people can hang around pro athletes, or say they know a pro athlete, or have access to a pro athlete. So I think, and that's no fault to their own per se, but they just don't. I think people just don't really recognize and empathize how that makes us feel.
Yeah.
Apart from being a player, as a human being, that's just my biggest issue with that. Like,
Hmm.
people think, especially fans, you can be not having a good day and you want to go to the store and just get something real quick, and it could be a flood of fans, wanting to take pictures with you, and you may not be in the mood, and now you're all of a sudden you're this horrible person. So yeah, I've seen a lot of these instances, but I would just ask the people on the outside looking in to be empathetic on how we feel as human beings rather than players.
B, what about you?
um, I see a lot of that. I notice a lot of that. I never experienced that personally, maybe
Hmm.
not.
Hmm.
Um, but I've definitely experienced a few other experiences. But
So, as we all know, the mental realm where we get, stirred up in our thoughts, a lot of that frontal lobe gets nice and bright,
Hmm.
flooded with thoughts. It obviously leads to the emotional component.
yeah,
So, speaking for myself, I know that I enter my day similar to the two of you, where my day is fast. It's very machine gun ish.
hmm
That's how the thought process is coming through. It's almost somebody sending me a telegram, and each little tick 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 is a thought. And so, one of the greatest things that I've done for myself is learning how to slow that down, because I know if I don't slow down that mental process, it's probably going to take me a little bit to kind of get out of that.
yeah,
And we know life is like, hey, get up and go. Hey, you better be there. You better be that. And they don't really care if the thought, your brain was going too fast and you had some stuff that kind of carried alongside it emotionally. So tell me, I mean, how does that, where does the mental realm and the emotional realm kind of slam in to each other for you guys?
I know for me, Mark, like you said, my morning, so the emotional and the mental kind of goes together. So when I wake up, I'm usually my thoughts are fast. They're not good thoughts, and I'm having all these different things coming in. So my thoughts are fast in the morning, and my mental is usually my emotional is usually that usually goes together. You know, those two things
Mm-hmm.
are together. If I'm thinking bad thoughts, then that's probably how I'm gonna feel. So
Yeah.
now that I've been doing the work and I'm more aware of that, so I notice my thoughts. I don't try to get hung up on those thoughts. I try to just find different ways to work through those thoughts or let them pass by. So
Mm-hmm.
I go to my meditating, I go to my breathing or reading, just music or whatever I got to do to get past those thoughts or whatever to calm those thoughts down. So um, that's what I usually try to do. And I know even throughout the day, my days are going to be up and down. My emotional and my feelings are going to be all over. So as long as I can stay on my breathing and my meditation and focus on positive things about myself, I know that my day will be at least decent.
Well, I mean, I'm going to stay right here for a second, Zach. Brandon, break that down for me. How long does that take? Kind of break down your day. I mean, how long does that take you?
That's funny. I was talking to you earlier about that. I was talking to a bunch of people like, "What time do you wake up?" I'm like, "Well, my anxiety wakes up at like 4:35,
Yeah.
but Brandon, the actual Brandon, doesn't come out until like maybe 11 or 12. Until I
Hmm.
finally feel like myself. My thoughts are slower. I can see clear. I can think clear. So um, in the morning I'm up, but it doesn't mean I'm functionable in myself. So it takes me a while,
Right.
maybe like 4 or 5 hours for me to fully feel like myself, or I can make good, comfortable decisions.
I mean, I know when we try to, for me personally, it takes me roughly a good time to lay there. Now that's also a double edged sword for me.
Yeah, that's for me too.
Okay, that's a
I
double-edged
can't lay
sword.
there too long.
Yeah, I mean
You
there's a
get
sweet
stuck.
spot. Yeah,
Yeah,
you get stuck, and
get stuck in
I've
your
talked.
thoughts. Get stuck in that feeling.
Yeah, you get stuck in just like you want to kind of almost hide from the world. You kind of get into that mode. It's nice and more. It's much more comfortable to kind of hang out right here than actually go do some stuff.
Yeah.
Especially when the dogs jump up into bed with you and it's nice and comfy. But I that's that can make or break, right? And I want to take some time now and you know inform viewers and listeners on why this is such an important aspect of your life. I mean, your bed is the most important area in your house. Okay. And what I mean by that is, they say when we go to bed, right, we travel interdimensions, right? We go places we can't even fathom. We can't even remember sometimes. And we only know so much, excuse me, about the human brain, and we're getting more and more knowledgeable in that realm, right?
Hmm.
But when we go into that bed and we lay down, we become our most vulnerable. Our defense mechanisms are all down. Okay, all shields down. Like we are open, right? We also as a child, this is where a lot of your bones will grow. This is where a lot of physical growth happens in the bed, right? The other component is, and many cultures around the world believe this, is that the struggle that each and one of us carry is directly connected to our ancestor or ancestral lineage. So
Right.
someone down along the line in our lineage were dealing with some of the same issues, right? Maybe they were warriors, right? And they survived battle too, right? But at the same time, they also had some injuries too that they had to take care of themselves the rest of their life, because so there's just a lot there. The other thing is, if we understand how important animals are, we also understand that when an animal sleeps, it's also in its most vulnerable state. And it really works to that component. Maybe not the old farm dog, right? That's kind of up in age. And I know my dog Chewbacca likes to lay around and get his naps in, but um, imagine an elk, imagine a moose hiking over mountains, going for miles, and it finally finds an area where it feels comfortable enough. It's going to walk around in a circle and knead that grass down until it feels comfortable, until it feels that it's completely safe and secure, and then it's going to lay down. And that's how important the bed is. So we have ancestors coming to us. We have our physical body, growing. We're traveling interdimensions. And when we come out of that, sometimes when the alarm comes off, or Brandon, in your case, anxiety kicks in the door at 4:30, right? That's how we enter the day. And I always try to talk to people about entering your day, helicoptering, right? And
Yeah,
airplaning. I'm telling you, I can tell the days when I helicopter, and I can tell the days when I plane.
me too.
And what I mean for everybody out there, when we're helicoptering, imagine a helicopter. It's going to fly directly over top of its target, and it's going to go directly straight down. And when it takes off, it's going to go directly straight up, and then it's going to go into its direction. And when we do that physically, in and out of the bed, starting our day like that, and we actually do that in our emotions and our mood cycles are going helicoptering, that is not the way that we actually want to really function. We want to slow that down, and we want to start entering into our day and get up into our cruising flight speed, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
cruising altitude, excuse me, and then land the plane down, right?
Yeah.
And so all of this is so imperative. And I guess, Zach, how do you start your morning?
Well, it's kind of interesting that Charles was explaining and all that. How the mornings is kind of you don't really know who you are in the morning. You kind of have to get yourself together. Me, I think I'm like the opposite of that. It's like the nights kind of
Yeah.
give me the most anxiety.
Okay.
Just because I'm thinking about the next day, what that's gonna look like, so that makes me all type nervous and anxious. Like, will it be the same as today? Will it be better? Will it be worse?
Right.
Um, sometimes you have I know I have sometimes, very very seldomly, but thoughts of what if I don't wake up and see the next day. Like you hear about all type of natural causes of people
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
passing
Right. Yeah.
away in sleep. So it's like, man, like I'm just praying and hope I make it to the next day. But for the mornings for me, I say I'm doing a better job at this. Of when I'm waking up, I'm getting in I have a morning routine, so that's kind of keeping me grounded. And if something goes wrong in the morning, I'm like instantly irritated. Like if I don't keep on schedule my morning, that's kind of like just ruins my whole day. Especially with working out, that's a big component of my life. And if I'm not able to do that, then I'm pretty much in a bad mood the whole day.
Do
Just
you, I
because
mean, do you have pretty much a daily routine and schedule like put in place for yourself?
I would say as far as mornings, yes, the afternoons and evenings can go
Yeah.
anyway. But I try to
Especially
keep
with
my morning.
kids, you got to have
Yeah,
some open time and flexibility.
yeah. So then there's that aspect as well. But as far as mornings, I try to at least practice, like the 5 to 10 minutes of stillness meditation, trying to
Okay.
get my mind right, trying
Hmm.
to get my thoughts right, so that I can perform in the weight room. And being that I'm a business owner of my own strength and aesthetic and nutrition program, I have to be that leader to my clients that I train. So I always have to have that right mindset so I can, push them to be better people. But I say mornings are very critical for me. That sets the tone for everything else.
Well, I mean, I think you brought up a good point too. The nighttime, right? Where
Yeah.
a lot of us focus on how do we enter into the day. A lot of us don't know how to exit the day,
Yeah, that's
right?
Mm-hmm.
me.
Yeah,
I'm still working on that.
a lot of us do fall asleep watching TV like this. You know what I mean? A lot of us, we don't understand how beautiful a nighttime routine is. Is like where you put your phone up, you turn the TV off, you brush your face, you brush your teeth, wash your face, and like go into bed and like enter into that slumber. I always used to envy people that did that, because I always, I always grew up with the TV on. I don't know about you guys. I mean, my dad always had the TV on, man. He would always, even if he was sleeping, there was cowboys and Indians fighting in the next room with him. You know what I mean?
I used to be like that myself until I believe it was on the Patriots, and they had like a sleep doctor. I forgot whatever they call
Okay,
them.
cool.
They had them come in and kind of explain to us how you shouldn't do that, or if you do, decide to leave the TV on while you're going to sleep, to like dim the lighting of the TV.
Right. Yep.
Um, so in doing that, I kind of just altogether just turn the TV off. Like, I don't really sleep with the TV on anymore.
Yeah, I need to get better with my night routine. Usually I fall asleep on the couch, then I wake up probably like 1 o'clock in the morning. Then I go to the bed and sleep for another 3 or 4 hours, and then I'm
Oh.
rested, but I still, I break up my sleep instead of just
Mm-hmm.
getting that full night's sleep. So lately I've been falling asleep on the couch.
Yeah.
But I don't have a TV in my room, so I can't watch TV falling asleep. So it's kind of I gotta find that balance, Mark, where I can
Mm-hmm.
just watch TV, do my night routine, and get in bed, and not just
Yeah.
like you said, just crash.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's a perfect word to explain what we do is we crash.
Yeah,
We overstimulate ourselves throughout the day, keep ourselves busy, and then we just crash, right?
yeah. And that's
Um,
how I usually start my day. I start my day feeling like I just crashed instead of just,
yeah, picking up the pieces, right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think this is a good time. I mean, Zach, moving into that physical realm, I know, this is both an area that where you guys are experts in this. Zach, I also know that you have your own training business. So
Hmm.
tell me what the physical realm does for you. I mean, I'll be honest with you. It's you two guys got me in the gym. Hanging out with you two guys and standing next to you, I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
I'm starting to look like I'm married with kids.
tell Zach, tell him what Zach, tell him what you trying to do. You trying to reinvent
Man,
the dad bod, right?
Mark, no, I'm trying to
Oh
turn dad
yeah,
father figures.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you trying to turn dad bods into father figures, Mark.
Hey
So,
man,
the physical component for me, to me, especially now, is everything. And I kind of got started. So quick backstory: I never really used to like lifting weights at all. Especially in high school, I was a skinny kid. I hated lifting weights. Didn't really like it until maybe around once in my junior year of college, and that's why I kind of started liking it or whatever. But I didn't really get into it until like 2017 when I was with the Carolina Panthers and I was on the practice squad. And for people who don't know, the practice squad players don't travel with the team. Well, at least on the Panthers, they
You
didn't.
don't playing games either.
Yeah, you don't play in games. So the weekends they would travel, and I didn't know anyone in Carolina. I didn't have any friends. I was only there for like the season.
right,
Um, and when they travel, I didn't have anything to do, and I didn't want to be stuck in my apartment, just bored out of my mind. So I would just go to the facility and just train and work out, and I would look at certain like fitness influencers that I kind of latched on to, and I kind of just kind of did what they did, and that really helped me get a release. Because being on the practice squad, feeling like you should be on a 53-man roster, that's depression and anxiety within itself. You seeing your teammates out there having fun, doing what you
right,
want to do,
right.
you're not able to do that. But especially now, the physical realm is I say like 90% of my life. Like it's something that I look forward to every day of the week. It's something that I love to teach people on how to train properly, build their better selves. And last year, that's when I really hit a low in depression and anxiety. I ballooned up to like 315 pounds. I was the heaviest I ever been. I remember the effect that had on me mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And my hormone levels. That's something that men need to be aware of. Having high levels of body fat and not strength training is detrimental to your testosterone levels. And I just remember all of that feeling, and I had to consciously make the the change and the decision to
Mm-hmm.
want to feel better, want to look better, want to think better. And through the grace of God and through hard work, I was able to get all that body fat off, get back to a healthy weight level for myself. And now I'm able to be in a position where I could teach other people, especially men, to prioritize their physical and mental health.
I would say the physical part is probably big. It's big for me too. It's not as big as the emotional and mental, but I do focus on my physical. I like to lift weights. I was born, I was raised just lifting weights, raised in the weight room and all that, but I kind of got away from it going through a deep depression back in 2020. So I kind of got away from it, like Zach said. I was starting to lose myself, starting to lose my body. I didn't feel like I didn't feel like an NFL athlete no more. All these
Exactly.
different things.
First part.
I didn't I didn't feel like myself. Like, you played in the NFL? Like, yeah, I did. Like, you don't look like it, you don't act like it,
Don't
you don't
look
think
like
like it.
it.
So that was a check for me. I started to feel
Yeah.
like, nah, this is not what life is supposed to feel like. So really had to dive deep in my physical to in order to feel good about myself, in order to change how I was feeling about myself. So I started to work out. Started working out with Zach. We started working out back probably. I remember going through a breakup. That's when
Yeah.
I really started to focus on my physicals because I was just at my lowest. I didn't feel good
Mm-hmm.
about myself. I'm like, I'm a single man. Like, we might as well let's get in shape and let's feel good about ourselves. So that's what I did, and I got into yoga, and so just combining the strength and the yoga kind of really put me on a good path, and I like the path that I'm on now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, speaking for myself, I never made it to your level. High school football, from a small town, you're coached by a bunch of dipshits who,
Mm.
never played the game. And, you know what I mean? They put you on these regiments that, and then you
Don't
have a
make
bunch of,
sense.
yeah. And then you have a bunch of dickhead jocks that think that they're bigger than anything. And it's like, that's the part of the game that I love, the game of football. That's the part of the game that I hated. Even when I went to go play in college and stuff, that's what I immediately was like, I think I'm good with football. I
Yeah,
think I'm good with football. Even when I became a high school coach, I wasn't that coach that was going to kind of come over and like yell in your face and while you're bench pressing and be like, yeah, 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 yeah. I was going to be the guy that was going to really think about 3 sentences, that was going to come over and calmly, what's up, man? How you doing? And whisper it in your ear hole, and it's going to happen. Right.
yeah.
And then, so I always had like this different approach, with football, and meeting the two of you, going on this journey with the two of you. It's really helped me open up I'll be 41 next month. The low testosterone is hitting me. I've felt that low energy,
Can't
and
lose
when
that
you,
weight as fast. You don't
yeah,
feel
like the
you're not
weight's
getting
not,
from your
the
workout.
weight fluctuations are starting to last longer,
You're
right?
not getting the results.
Right. And I don't drink alcohol. So once I quit drinking alcohol years ago, I immediately dropped that weight. But now it's like, well, what do I got to quit now to drop that weight? It's like, oh, wait, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you the one thing that benefits me very, very much so. And I want to thank the two of you for really challenging me in this is, um, of course, as a therapist, and I focus a lot on that mental emotional component, but I started to combine the mental and emotional with the physical. Now when I'm working out, I'm not so much working out to get as strong as I can.
yeah,
I'm like working out in a meditative thought process of just processing my day and just making sure that I'm getting it done. You know what I
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like it's almost
It's
like one
not a
of those
performance. It's more of a
lifestyle
feeling.
almost. Yeah,
Yeah,
like I just need to go do it, and I don't. So that's one thing that I had to really challenge in myself as somebody that's not an NFL player, is like trying to find that sweet spot of mixing that mental and physical, and using both to that advantage, right?
Mark. It's I'm in the same place right now. It's kind of trying to find that sweet spot. Focusing on the not focus on the physical too much, and not focus on the mental emotion. I'm trying to find
Mm-hmm.
that that sweet spot in between where I can get my work done on my body and my mind, and get the work done on all the other things. So
Well, I think another thing that really hit me is, I believe there's a quote from Confucius that said, if we don't, as humans on this planet, I'm
I already know where you're going.
horribly paraphrasing this, but humans on this planet, if we don't push our body to the limit and build our physical prowess, then we're wasting a whole other side of our soul
Yeah.
we're detached from. Right. And here I am, I'm a therapist. I help lead people through processing PTSD, depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, these from these deep, dark places. And it slapped me across the face like, oh man, I only know half of my soul. That's when it freaked me out. And I was like, well, I'm pretty sure I know this other side pretty good with
Yeah.
meditation to do this other stuff. But I felt like almost I had to challenge myself, and it put me in a real vulnerable state. I'll be honest with you. Like I had to almost fight myself to it.
Yeah.
I mean, just being open about that. So I think, Zach, as doing that training and stuff like that, are you seeing other men going through similar things like that?
Uh, Yeah, definitely. So, especially when I do outreach with people, on social media, and I'm having
Mhm.
these deep conversations with other men, they're telling me, I'm super overweight. I feel terrible. I feel, and I commend them for doing it, opening up to me about these things, and I can relate to them being in that position before, and that's how I'm able to, build these connections with people. And for me, the physical is definitely tied to my mental, because if I'm not working on my body, then my mind is just all over the place. And it's tied to our hormones. Testosterone, like I said, is big for us men. If we're
Mhm.
not doing things to sustain it and enhance it, then that leads us to have all these like mental health conditions where we're not concentrating, we have trouble thinking, osteoporosis, weakening of the bones, hair loss, all of these things that are directly tied into it. And that's why I kind of, and then, statistically, they say after 30, but it's been studies that have shown that, male testosterone dips as early as, 25 due to,
I swear, I
environmental.
was about 27, 28.
Yeah. And I even
Lowest
know
testosterone.
I even know a young kid. He's 21. He's on testosterone replacement therapy, and he told me that. I'm like, yeah, you pretty young to be on that. Like you
Right.
should have be full of testosterone. So but like I said, like they said, it's supposed to start dipping at age 30, around 1%. That's just naturally. Now that's a small number, but compound on top of lifestyle choices. What
Yeah.
they eat. If they're drinking a
Drinking,
lot, they're
Yeah.
smoking a lot.
not being
All
active.
of all of these factors that play into it, that can bump that 1%, higher than that. So
Right.
that's why I prioritize physical health, to the max.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
I think that was the first thing I did. Remember when I was going through my deep depression or just at my lowest. My first of all, I wasn't working out and my testosterone was low, so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the energy. My mood wasn't there, and I didn't have the motivation. So combine all the two things together, and not having a sense of purpose. So once I got my testosterone levels in my mind to a place where I could um, even want to do better, I think that's when I really started to see change in my mind and my body. When I actively seek the change that I needed or I was looking for.
Exactly.
I mean, I'll tell you, going back to your comment in the conversation of changing dad bods into father figures, right?
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what, the one thing that I love is that it actually gives me some time to myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, man. That's
You know what I mean? Like I get to go to the gym, and I mean, my phone's not ringing.
nothing.
The other cool thing is like, for everyone out there that is with a family, or excuse me, has a family, and you're trying to work through that challenge of finding time to work out. Is once you get in that routine of working out, it's very interesting. Your family kind of gets into that routine
yeah.
right along with you. Like they expect you, like, dude,
Mhm.
you working out today? Like, oh yeah, I am. You know what I mean? Like, so
That
they
accountability piece.
yeah, they kind of like expect. Well, my kids are
I already
13 and
know.
11, so yeah, they're 13 and 11, so they're kind of like, oh, they're like, go do your thing. And I mean, I'm at that level though. I worked my ass off through those little years to get to this point.
Yeah,
But
it's that ritualistic for me.
Right.
My kids know I love to work out. My youngest,
How many
even if
days a week you work out, Zach?
well, it all depends. I got a bunch of different training splits. Right now, I'm at 5 days a week. I've done 4 days a week. I've done 6 days a week. I've never done seven because I think that's too
Excessive.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit too much.
So what are you doing on days you're not working out?
A bunch of recovery work. So I got like a
So how
whole
you still
corner.
get that fix and that that
Uh,
same feeling if you're not working out?
that's still work. I'm still working on my body. Recovery is an essential part of working out. Because if you don't recover right, then you won't have that enthusiasm. You won't have that energy to perform. When you start training. So on my off days, I call it active recovery. I'm not necessarily lifting weights and overexerting myself, but I'm getting stuff done. I'm going on walks. That's very important. That's an everyday thing. Like I said, I'm doing foam rolling, stretching, mobility work.
Yeah.
So I'm working out, but I'm not overexerting myself.
Yeah. Speaking of, let's add something else to your list. We still got to hike Camelback next week, buddy. Get
Yeah,
ready. Get your mind right.
I gotta get my mind right for that
Yeah,
one.
you got a whole weekend, so
Get
get
my
ready.
mind right.
First one of the year, Mark. We starting off strong.
Uh-oh. So how do you I'm going to stick on this physical component, and I want to ask, your opinion on, dieting as men with testosterone that are going lower. Like, what are,
Mhm.
and I know as trainer and stuff like that. And at SageE Elite, we also, work on building you a diet plan and a meal regimen and all of that. So let's spend some time on the importance of that, because I feel myself, that's where I recover, right?
Mhm.
Working out 4 days a week, I find recovery in what I replenish my body with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all
That's
goes together. Nutrition is a
yeah,
big component of recovery.
Mark, also noticed like just eating, like when I wasn't or when I'm not feeling good, eating bad. That's usually how I feel.
yeah,
Or just
yeah,
in the morning when I'm feeling bad, it's usually because I haven't eaten anything, or your body needs energy. So I'm very aware of what my body needs when it comes to nutrition. Now I am, but I wasn't before. When I was playing, I just ate whatever.
yeah.
Mhm.
Go grub out because you're gonna burn it off. So it was all good.
You're
Now that
right.
I'm not
Yeah,
playing, I have to be more cautious of what I'm putting in my body
yeah. I do a lot of
because of what
intermittent
it might make me
fasting.
feel
Yeah,
and because of how it may make me look. So
yeah. What about intermittent fasting? What's your input on that?
I feel like it's great for people who can sustain it. It's not for everyone. I used to practice it a lot. Now, not so much. I mean, I kind of do. I don't really eat in the mornings, but that's just not. That's because I'm not eating in the morning because I don't want to eat. It's just 'cause I'm not hungry. Like your body, people don't know. Like your body is a very smart organism. Like it'll tell you when it's hungry. It'll tell you when it's thirsty. Some people say you should
you just gotta
drink
listen.
a gallon. You should drink a gallon of water a day. Well, that's not necessarily true.
Hmm.
You drink when you're thirsty, and your body will tell you, I'm
Right.
thirsty.
I'm thirsty. Yeah, I need it.
Yeah, exactly. So you just have to really listen to your body. I don't tend to overeat. And like I said, if I'm hungry, I'll eat something. If I'm not, I'm not eating anything. So you just gotta be real conscious of your
Well,
body.
Mark, my diet. I'll let you speak on your diet, Mark.
well, no, no. I mean, I've been really focusing on my diet, but again, like I think when when I'm working a lot and we're traveling, we have players coming up and visiting us, and we're going out to dinner and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, I mean that's a large component, but other than that, I'm pretty conscious of it. I guess my question is, and I saw some of your posts on Instagram, Zach,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the post that I always think about when I'm walking down the cereal aisle. And then
What was the
I'll let
post?
the post is where you don't have to like get rid of the things that you love,
You don't.
in your nutrition. Well, because yeah, everybody has a cheat day,
But
there's the whole cheat day program
I,
through,
I, I don't believe in cheat
dude.
days.
And that's why I
I'm a
love you.
grown
You
man.
are
I
a
eat what I want.
savior to me.
Yeah, I'm a grown man. I don't have cheat days. I eat what I want when I feel like it. And
Mark,
that's
I
why.
have cheat days, bro.
You have
Yeah, I
cheat
mean
days.
that's
Sundays
I
are
gotta
your cheat
have it.
days? Okay.
The weekends is when I relax.
Okay.
Not cheat days where I cheat meals. I have maybe Saturday and Sunday. I'm gonna eat something that I like. It's usually gonna be pizza or wings. But
Yeah. Yeah.
throughout the week, I try to eat healthy and stay clean. But I'm gonna have 2 cheat meals on the weekend
yeah.
because I work hard and I earned it.
I
And
just
that's
keep telling myself this is a cheat day. It's a cheat
no,
day.
and that's why I stress to all my clients. I'm a big believer of if it fits your macros, aka flexible dieting. The reason being is that not too many people have the mental capacity to restrict foods that they like, and what'll
Yeah.
happen is they'll go through something like crash dieting or yo-yo dieting, where
Right.
they haven't had, you know, foods that they like for so long now. You know, they
Just
see
want
it
to
or they
grub
smell it.
out.
Yeah, they just go all in on it. So I teach them, you know, how to download my fitness pal to track their calories. That's all it is. It's not one food in this world that makes anyone fat. It's just calories. Calories
Calorie
in,
intake.
calories
Mm-hmm.
out. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think our entire understanding, what we've been told as a society of like how to
Yeah.
start your breakfast. I mean, you look at back at the old pictures of the breakfast, it's like
Yeah.
a
Glass of orange,
coffee, a milk,
glass of
an orange juice, you know.
bowl, cereal.
Yeah, like, you know, so what we've been told, you know, like what is like the daily nutritional, you know, I'll go back to the old food pyramids, right?
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
not even that no more. It's kind of like a
right.
dinner plate now. Yeah.
Right. So there, I mean, it's evolving. So yeah, I wanted to say thank you so much for that post because it makes me smile when I'm walking down the cereal aisle. I stay away from the candy, but the cereal aisle gets me,
Hey,
man.
man, all you gotta do is read labels and measure your food. You'll be fine.
That's
Oh,
it.
I ain't measuring shit when it comes to cereal, dude.
Hey,
And
hey.
I ain't measured it.
indulge yourself, Mark. Treat
Yeah,
yourself.
that's my you know vitamin almond milk and some cereal, and I'm good.
Hey, you good with that?
Yeah.
What's your cereal? What's your preference of cereal?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I think it really depends on my mood. I'm gonna sound like an old dude right now, but I do really like Raisin Bran Crunch.
The
What?
worst cereal.
What are you talking about? I do like that, but no, if I wanted to
No, we
get
ain't eat
like,
that.
I like the Reese's Pieces. Now,
Oh yeah, that's a hit. That's a hit. I
it,
like Oreo bowls myself.
yeah.
Anything Oreo flavor got me in a chokehold.
Mark, I
Mm.
probably ain't had cereal in probably like 15 years, bro.
Oh, dude, I remember one time in college we had a cereal eating contest at dinner one night because we were so bored and stupid. And I had 17 bowls of cereal. I was
Wow.
sick
What,
for like
OD on cereal?
3 days after that, dude. I couldn't even go to class, dude. I was so sick. So
Yeah,
don't
you
have a
tripping, Mark.
cereal, dude. Yeah, I mean, I even got down to like, okay, it's
You
bowl.
know what? Speaking of cereal, and I've noticed this for quite a no, for real. I noticed this quite a while. If I ate cereal right before I go to sleep, I had nightmares. I don't know what it is
Really?
about it, but I always have nightmares when I eat cereal right before bed. So I'm like, that's kind of weird. But I just thought about that when
So
you said
ancestors
cereal.
saying they don't like cereal.
Probably.
But I will tell you, like right now, it's in season is like the Frankenberry and the Count Chocula. Those are the good ones.
Frank Berry.
Frankenberry, man, heck yeah. Those are the good ones. Booberry. But yeah, no, I've always loved cereal. That's pretty much how I got my way through college. Cereal, dude. Okay,
That's a com-
so what'd you say?
no, I said cereal is a good comfort food. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So kind of coming back around outside of that physical realm, start focusing on the spiritual realm. I
Hmm.
know myself. When I tap into that spiritual realm, it involves a meditative component. It involves some type of conversation with my chosen creator. And it also involves some type of interaction with nature. That's why, you know, I love living out here in Colorado. That's why, you know, when we started SageE Elite, I really believe in bringing this outdoor component to everyone that's seeking healing. I think, you know, as humans, we have this really weird obsession with putting the earth, we're putting concrete on top of the earth. We really like concrete for some reason. And when that kind of like detaches us from our connection, and I really believe, even for myself, for me to spiritually dip into that, and it's going to take care of the mental, emotional, and physical. Because when I'm actually in there meditating, I'm doing a body map. I'm checking in with different areas of my body, you know, where I'm feeling tightness, where I'm feeling soreness. If I'm
Hmm.
feeling sore, I'm actually, when I exhale, I'm actually exhaling energy into healing that area to try to give extra love to that area. So the spiritual realm becomes kind of like this all encompassing realm for me.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Well, I know when I wake up, that's usually what I go to. I thank my creator, thank God for waking me up. Thank three
Hmm.
things I'm grateful for.
Right.
And then I brush my teeth and do all that. But then I get back to my spiritual. I read my devotional for the day. So I read that, and then I read 2 books just to inspire me, put some good thoughts in my head, get some
Right.
good energy going, start to feel good about myself. So I do that just to get myself going. And I also try to meditate too. When I'm sitting in bed, I'm just meditating, getting to my breath. just focusing on that, not focusing on how I'm thinking, how I'm feeling. So that's what I usually do for the spiritual. And I carry that throughout the day. And I got yoga and I got my meditation and I go on walks and podcasts. So I kind of combine that, all those things together, like you said, Mark, to kind of get
Right.
that spiritual vibe, to bring myself up to a higher vibration when I'm not
Yeah.
feeling like myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely say that I can use a lot of work in the spiritual area. I'm kind of hit or miss with it. Some mornings I forget to do a little prayer or meditate or kind of speak to my creator. Just because I'm thinking about all types of other stuff that I need to get done in the morning. But it's something, like I said, I try to work on as best as possible, especially if I'm going on morning walks. That's kind of my time to myself to reflect, especially in the morning the sun is shining, so that's a great time to
Yeah.
connect with the one above. So um,
Mark, I was gonna say, I noticed like when I don't do things, it's because I didn't. I know, just for me personally, I try to be organized and planner. If I don't put in my planner, if I don't put meditate, read, and pray in my planner, then I probably won't do it the next day. That sounds crazy, but if I don't write it down, I don't see it, then I'll just wake up and I'll just go throughout my day and just skip things. So I
Well, I
try to
mean, I
be
think
very
that's
detailed about my day because if I don't see it, I probably won't do it.
well, I mean, that's why they really, classify it as an intentional practice, right?
Yeah, it really is.
It's a just like
You got to think
yoga,
about it
right?
in order
Yeah,
to do
just
it.
like yoga
Yeah,
when you're in there for that hour. I mean, it's on like all systems go intentional
can't think about
practice.
nothing else.
And yeah, and
mhm.
we don't yoga thought process doesn't really translate when we're trying to sit still too, right?
Yeah,
So it's like trying to find to ebb and flow with that and find that nice spot.
for
Um,
sure.
yeah, I think, and I wanted to ask, Zach,
Yeah.
south side of Chicago, Brandon, Florence, South Carolina. Tell me, how was the spiritual realm introduced to you? I mean, I come from Youngstown, Ohio. And I would always be fearful in this realm. Zach, speaking to where how you just said, I think I need some help in this realm. I definitely needed help in that realm many, many years ago. And I think I was always surrounded by fear. So, I was raised, I think my mom said we were Methodist. My dad said we were Presbyterian, and I never went to church. And I'm pretty sure they both couldn't tell you the difference between the two. You know what I mean? So, starting out at a young age without a spiritual foundation kind of left me grasping for a lot of things as
Man,
a man. I didn't have a lot of that backing. So tell me, Brandon, you're in the Bible
I'll
Belt.
speak on that, man.
Yeah, you're
I
in the
was gonna
Bible
say,
Belt.
so just being in the South, just being raised in that, my family, both sides, my mom, dad's side is both involved in the church. My aunts are preachers, and my family is very involved in church. So I grew up in that, and grew up going to church. Grew up, my mom dragging us to church every Sunday. In order to watch football, you had to go to church.
Oh,
So
nice. Yeah.
so in order to even play football, you got to go to church and do all these spiritual things with your family. So I was born
Okay.
and raised up in that, so it was easy for me to keep that going. But I will say, when I was didn't feel like myself when I was going through my depression, I kind of lost that. I wasn't in touch with my creator. I wasn't tapping into that spirituality part. So when I was at my lowest, that's the only thing I had. I'm like, what else can I do? Like, who else can I call? Like, I felt like no one else can help me. No one understood me but my creator. So I had to
Hmm.
go back to that mindset. So that kind of set me up for where I am now. So it's kind of embedded in me. I've kind of born and raised in it.
Now, do you have like a local connection back in Florence that you've grown into that relationship that you can fall back
Um,
on?
I do. My parents, my mom, and my dad are still involved with my aunt's church. She has a church back at home, so
Oh,
I always
nice.
go when I'm back at home, and I still do my own. I'm not as involved in the church. Maybe I don't go on Sundays, but I still have my own church myself. So
Right. Yeah.
I kind of
Yeah.
still get that fixed, and I still talk to my creator. So we still have that relationship. So I think some people kind of get like you have to go to church, you have to do all these things. Like you can really create your own, relationship with your creator if you just
Yeah.
put in the work and tap into that part.
So, Mr. Zach, all the way back up to the Midwest to the
I was in Chicago,
manufacturing
Chi-Town.
of
Yeah,
Chi-Town.
I can say that the spiritual thing, it wasn't existent,
Y'all didn't
and
grow up going to church.
nah, I mean, here and there, I had an
It wasn't
auntie
like
who
mandatory,
was
like
nah, it wasn't mandatory at all. So I had an auntie who was Jehovah's Witness, and whenever I would go see my cousin or hang out with my cousin, she would make us go to the hall. But
Yeah.
being a young kid, I didn't understand that stuff, so I didn't really see the point, in going to church per se.
Yeah.
I feel like you can do worship from anywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
God didn't make church, man made church.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't really find or try to even think about the spiritual aspect until I started seeking therapy, and they kind of like, put that in my head because I grew up in a real hostile environment. Southside Chicago is not much,
Right. Right.
Peace and love and
spirit.
prayer.
Yeah, really much of that there.
Right.
A lot of people are aggressive, they're angry.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the hood, we're in the ghetto. It's like it's real aggressive. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have that growing up, so I can say I'm still new to this thing. That's why it's kind of, that's why I say I need a lot of work in the area because
Yeah.
it's fresh to me. So
Well, and I think that
Sure.
you make a good point. I mean, this is, back to that word healed, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're really healing, and we're really, we don't, it's not worshiped, we're worshiping, right? So it's like that.
hmm
It's like they run parallel to each other, and they're that ever growing, evolving process and practice that we kind of get into. I mean, I was really, and reflecting back, I was really fearful of churches. And I can even remember when I was actually in my grandmother's car. We were driving down the road and we were in Ohio, and there was a church that was, I thought it was an interesting building. It was a circular church, right? Entire thing was circular. And I remember asking my grandmother, wow, what is that building? And she told me it was a church. And I said, wow, I mean, because I had never seen a circular building before. Like they're all,
hmm
they're all four sides, right? And she said, well, yeah, they built that church in a circle because the devil hides in the corner of every church.
Mm.
And I,
What?
dude, and I remember that, and I was like, oh hell no, why would I go to church?
Yeah.
What, devil's there? You know what I mean? Like if so I remember being a kid, having those thoughts. So I had always approached the spiritual realm out of fear based.
Yeah.
Um,
It's I kind of approach it the same, Mark, but I kind of approach it a different fear. Like I can't play football if I don't go to church. Like a
right,
different kind of fear.
yeah,
Like it was kind of pushed on me in a different kind of fear. Like
right.
for me, in order to grasp it, I had to, kind of fear a little bit. But I definitely understand what you're saying.
Well, it took me a long time, personally, to kind of try to figure it out. I think I was always a naysayer of like, yeah, well, it says that, but yeah, but, like there was
Yeah.
always this, but like well, you should read these other books. Like, it was always something like that. And I think what really made it change for me in my head and in my heart was when I started trying to understand what's consistent in this world, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
There's a lot of inconsistencies, and I really, as a therapist, how do I help people go down that path? And it's really trying to look at um, what's consistent in our world. And there's two things that this is only my personal opinion.
Nature.
Well, one is nature, of
I
course.
knew he was gonna say that.
One's nature and one's change. Like it's going to consistently change. And so I should be able to be adaptable, and I
Yeah.
should be able to be okay with that change. And we have to be okay with the change. It's impermanence, right? We can't appreciate life until we appreciate death and, the change of all of that.
Hmm.
But I found nature to be the most consistent thing. When I'm hiking in the mountains and I grab onto a tree, it feels like the most sturdy thing in my life. And that sounds really weird, but um, I really believe that. I feel that in my soul, and I really started to understand that in this realm, I can connect my creator to this nature component. And when it comes to nature, I have no issue with surrendering.
Yeah.
I have no fear with surrendering, and it really helped me out. It really opened me up. And I'll be honest with you, I think that's the one thing that really changed my life as a man, is being able to be open to that spiritual realm and trying to just keep searching, keep looking through it, and find what you can be vulnerable with, and at the same time surrender to.
Hmm.
Yep.
That's a
So,
beautiful place to be, Mark.
man, it was a lot of work too. It's scary too, man. But I wanted to kind of as we kind of wrap things up, going through the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, I wanted to kind of spend some time on how SageE Elite is, just like our podcast, how we're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Spending some time, this is our first podcast as a team, understanding where we are really focusing on combining the mental and the physical health. I really believe when I see it online and I see people talking about, hey, it's mental health day or mental health hashtag mental health. I don't see it as that. I just see this as health. Like I see the physical health and the mental. This is all one, and I think we've kind of been sold that it's in these separate channels, right? And it's all intertwined. So that's one way that I know for sure SageE Elite's staying ahead of the game. And what's your guys' take on those combining the mental and physical? I know we just spent an hour talking about it and
Yeah.
insinuating it and pointing at it directly, but what's your take on it as Team SageE Elite?
In my opinion, I think everyone should implement both into their lives, whatever that may be.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of just going to in depth what I'm trying to say. Physical part. Me myself, I like strength training. That's the physical aspect. With strength and aesthetic training, that's what I like. Some people may like running 15 miles. Some people may like boxing. Some people may like hit training. Some people may like CrossFit, whatever type of physical aspect that you gravitate to. I say you need to have that implemented in your life because physical health is mental health. I
Mm-hmm.
think, like you said, I think they're both intertwined. It's hard to sustain one without the other. So whatever component that you like to do, make sure you practice it as much and as often as you can, so that you stay progressive as a person.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, I'll say, at Sage Elite, I think we stay ahead of the game. No, I know. We do things different. We focus on that person and the mind and the body. All those things are connected, like you said, Mark. So, I think at Sage Elite, why I gravitate towards it, why I'm so passionate about it, because we do things different than any other facility that I've been through. I've been through like 2 or 3 different places. It's just different.
Yeah.
Um, the feeling, and the results you get from it, just by how we treat players and how we communicate with players and connect with players. So I think it's already ahead of the game. Not many people are doing it. Not many people are focusing on what we're focused on. Many people focus on, like you said, the different challenges. But I know at Sage Elite we focus on all 4 things and combine those things together. And I think I've been through it. I've experienced it. And I think once you do that and you have your routine, and you get to that place, I think it definitely elevates your quality of life.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, I think it.
just to add on to that, I think it's very important that guys like myself and Brandon are kind of being more upfront and kind of spearheading this thing, because most people, they look at us as like these athletic guys who don't really have feelings. They'll say
You have
things
no
like, oh,
problems. You're strong. You're
yeah, they say,
big. You
oh,
made
you
it to
play in
the
the NFL.
NFL.
What? Yeah, you play in the NFL. What could, like? What you like?
What you
What
worried
could
about? What you got
wrong?
going
What
on?
you worried about? I tell people that all the time, like, no matter how much success someone can have, like, we're still all human beings. Like, we're not
You still
immune to
have
life.
feelings and emotions.
Yeah, we're not immune to what life can throw at us.
Well, I deal with this a lot with players, man. This is that societal resentment that you guys go through when you're having a bad day and you go to the grocery store and somebody sees you. That's when it's all triggered, because somebody that has spent their life working in a factory, they're kind of resentful that that's what they had to do, right? And it's sold to them that way too, because it's sold to these other people that it's a game, and that's not a game. What you guys did, I mean, it started out as a game.
It's a life-threatening game too.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
mean, it
say a
started out
life
as a
threatening
game.
game.
Yeah. So yeah, for sure, I think there's that societal resentment, and being a clinician of elite athletes, we talk about it often. On I have players that literally don't want to go and buy toiletries because they've been told that they've made too much money playing a game and they feel ashamed of it.
Yeah, I've
You know
been
what I
through that
mean?
before.
Yeah. Can speak
They
to
just
that,
act like
Zach.
yeah, they just act like we can't do regular things. Like, I like being able to do regular stuff that I was doing before football. That don't
Mm-hmm.
make me as less of a person. I think when we look at guys like the ultra superstars, say like Tom Brady for one, he can't do regular things. Like if he wanted to, he can't just go to the store or just do regular stuff. He probably have to have security with him or all these extra parameters. And I think that's anxiety within itself to have to do all of these things just to do simple stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're bringing up another point that I wrote down here that I wanted to circle back to.
Hmm.
So, I mean, absolutely, that's how SageE Elite is staying ahead of the game. And one way that we stay ahead of the game is that we actually focus on brain health
Yeah.
of former players and active players. So we are doing brain scans. We're getting players connected with local neurologists. We're looking to make sure that this is long-term brain care, brain health for these players. And I guess, that's definitely one way that we can actually change the game. And I'm going to switch the topic here because we're talking about how we can stay ahead of the game because, you know, as we continue to watch football, you both watch football, correct?
Hmm.
Okay. I try to watch football, but for some reason, this season, every game that I turn on, somebody gets hurt within like 5 minutes of me watching it.
Yeah, I mean that's
Okay.
that's the nature of the game.
Yeah, I know, and I know it's the state of the game. And let me ask, and I know this is old news, but we're going to talk about Tua and understanding brain health, right? And since we scan players, as former players, tell me, how important is your brain health, and how are you taking care of it, and what are some of the area, or what are some things that viewers and listeners can that are impacted by that?
I'll say, Mark, just seeing that tour event that was very triggering for me. I know when I when I was in the NFL, I had 3 concussions, so just seeing that
Mm-hmm.
and just watching him go back out there, it's kind of triggering for me. And it's still those things I don't really like the injuries come up. It's kind of triggering for me, but I kind of
Mm-hmm.
can detach from it. But it's just crazy to see that, and I know what it does to your mind and your brain when you have those concussions. So it was tough for me to watch. It still is, but I think I do a good job of taking care of my mental and my brain health, just doing all those things, combining those 4 things, and
Yeah.
doing the brain scans, going to get the checkups. Trying to get ahead of that thing they call CTE. So I'm trying to do all those things so I don't have to really, I won't say worry, but as not be so worried about it. So I kind of check those boxes when it comes to brain health.
Well, I mean, I think that's important. You're being more proactive than reactive. When it
Yeah,
comes to
Hmm.
brain health, I mean, any player, anyone out there that's been impacted by a brain trauma, we want to be proactive rather than reactive. I also know this well. When I was playing sports, I had 3 concussions as well. I can go ahead and tell you that my 20s, there was a lot of confusion in my younger 20s. I stopped playing the game 20 years ago. But when I first stopped playing, the adjustment of not being an athlete and having that brain trauma on board, looking back in hindsight, knowing what it is now, looking at that, it's so impactful and it's so important to understand how much it impacts you. Zach, what about you?
how many
Uh,
concussions you had, Zach?
you said what now?
Uh, how many concussions do you have documented? I'll say that. I'm sure you don't know how many you
Documented
had.
is the word.
I know I had at least like two, but yeah, not playing the trenches. So oftentimes we'll hit O lineman, we'll kind of just black out for a second, then we'll come
Keep
to.
going. Keep going.
Yeah, and that's what I see. I haven't watched football. Well, it's the first time I got back into watching it since I retired. Just because I tried to detach myself from it. It was too emotional for me to watch. But watching it now, all I'm looking at is offensive and defensive linemen.
Right.
And
Yeah.
just seeing them keep running into each other, and this guy taking on pulling blocks and all, and you hit a thud and clashes. Like wow, like I just cringe like hearing the sound of it. It's like man, I remember that trauma.
Mark,
Yeah.
is that gives me. I was thinking about like when I was coaching football, when I was really deep in it. That's the part that I couldn't teach a kid to do that. Or I couldn't teach a kid to just
Hmm.
hit the kid as hard as you can. Like I already know what that did to a kid. So when I was coaching, that was very hard for me to kind of teach those kids all those toxic kind of things you have to do to play football. I
I
still
mean,
struggle with that.
that's why I stopped coaching football. I mean, as a therapist, I'm trying to help everybody curb their aggression, right? Like we
Yeah,
don't want to
Hmm.
be aggressive out there. We want to kind of be more relaxed, chill out. And then I'd have to go turn around, leave the office, go to football, and be like, "No, dude, you need to hit him."
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it was like
Yeah.
putting me in a perplexing state that I did not like to be in.
Yeah.
So because in football, you need, as a coach, you need to teach that aggression, or somebody's going to get hurt out there if they
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
have that aggression, right? So I had a big issue, and coming from Youngstown, Ohio, it's all football, and then I moved out here to Boulder, Colorado, and I was a defensive coordinator um, for an 8th grade team when I first moved out here, and I'll never forget the first defensive practice. Is I was perplexed by it because these kids had been taught how to rugby tackle out here for years.
Oh wow.
Oh
And where
yeah.
I came from, it was like, no,
A smash mouth.
you put your forehead on their chest, shoot your guns, drive your legs, right? And finish them, not take the hit
Roll
on
them
as a
over.
defense
Yeah.
and roll
And
with it.
twist and
Like,
roll. Yeah.
yeah, as defensive, we give the hits. We don't take the hit. You know what I mean? So it was a learning experience too. So even as a coach, seeing the game change that way too. Um, how do you guys see the games? You see the game changing at all?
Especially with the whole quarterback thing, it being real self conscious about hitting the quarterback the wrong way. We've seen in the Chiefs games with Chris Jones on the
Mm-hmm.
roughing the passer, even though it wasn't a roughing the passer. So they're trying to, they're taking away crackback blocks, which is a good thing. Blindside hits,
On
but
kickoff returns, special
yeah,
teams.
Mm-hmm.
they've done a good job progressively of doing that, but it's still the game of football. You can't
Right.
avoid hits altogether. Some things are gonna be just freak accidents. So I think they're getting there, but I don't know if it can be totally resolved just because it's a
Zach,
fast
you ever
paced.
see they got the new helmet things now? Like
I
you seen
didn't.
that?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
you didn't see
little
that at training camp? They had like the
Oh, that's what
skull.
that is. What is
Yeah,
that?
that was supposed to help concussions, like
Oh well, I
lower the
hope it does.
impact.
Yeah, I
I
hope
hope
it
it
does.
does too.
Yeah,
I hope it does.
I ain't playing no more. I hope it do for them.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I could sit here and talk to you guys the rest of the evening. I want to, I just want to take this time and tell you both how grateful I am for the two of you going on this journey with me, trusting me, and going with me on this journey. I mean, we're just getting started. So I
That's
really
cool.
look forward to changing the game here. Where we're going to change the game.
Stay
Not
ahead of the
only
game.
not only for the players and athletes, but I mean anyone that is interested. I don't believe in a 90-day treatment plan. I do believe in it. I'm going to aim for it, but I also know that it's going to take me more than 90 days
It's
to
a
help.
lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. I also want to kind of keep everybody, give us a follow um, at SageE Elite on Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then at the same time, keep an eye out on our website. We're going to be having some healing intensives this coming spring and summer for anyone that's interested. So we're going to be teaching some of the stuff that we teach active and former players. We're going to be teaching that to the community. So stay tuned and we'll keep you updated.
Yes,
Fellas,
sir.
love and respect to you. Can't wait to see you guys again soon.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Sage Elite.
Later.